Okay, I went to a second video where I take you through a few more of these that are a little bit more difficult to balance, and show you that sometimes it just takes a little perseverance to get through them, and also sometimes it just takes a little patience to get through them. So we're going to start with number 5. Actually, number 4 is actually a pretty simple one. It actually takes longer to count than it does to fix. But number 5 is a little bit more difficult, and 6 will be a little bit more difficult than that, and the 7th one will be even a little bit harder. But let's start with number 5. We have AS, we have O, and we have C. All right, on the left-hand side, on my reactant side, I have 2 arsenic, I have 3 oxygen, and 1 carbon. On the product side, 1 arsenic, 2 oxygen, and 1 carbon. All right, to me, the obvious place to start on this will be with the arsenic, because, we want to leave oxygen alone, usually until the very end, because it's usually the hardest one to fix. So we're going to start with arsenic first, and we're going to put a 2 right there, which gives me 2 arsenic. Now, that didn't change my oxygen for me. So we're at this point where we've been several times before, and we go, okay, when I have an odd number, what do I do about it? And most of the time, when I have an odd number, what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to multiply it by the lowest even that I know of, which is 2. And we're not doing this to fix anything. In fact, we're going to mess some stuff up. But at least it will get rid of my odd number. So we're going to put a 2 right there so that my oxygen goes from being 3, which is odd, to 6, which is an even number. Now, that does change my arsenic to 4, and that's okay. We can go back and change that. We can fix that. So now I'm going to go back and fix arsenic. Originally, I put a 2 because I wanted a 2. I'm going to erase the 2, and I'm going to change it to a 4. That changes my arsenic to 4. And now I have to fix oxygen. I need 6. So to get 6 out of this, I have to put a 3 there, because 3 times 2 is 6. Which also changes my carbon to 3. There's only one thing left to fix on this one, is carbon, and a coefficient of 3 in front of that. We'll change that to 3, and that equation is balanced. So let's go to the next one, number 6. We have N, we have H, and we have O. On the left-hand side of the reactant side, I have 1 nitrogen, I have 3 hydrogen, and 2 oxygen. On the product side, 1 nitrogen, 2 hydrogen, and 2 oxygen. All right, we're at the same point we just were just a few minutes ago on the previous equation. I have an odd on this side, I have an even on this side, and so I'm going to take this side and basically times it by 2. So this time it's my hydrogen that's odd, so the 2 has to go in front here. That gives me 6 hydrogen and changes nitrogen to 2. All right, at this point, I can fix either one. It doesn't make a difference. I'm going to go with nitrogen for no other reason than it's the first one. So a coefficient of 2 in front gives me 2 nitrogen. However, that now changes my oxygen to 2 right here plus a third one right there. All right, we'll go with hydrogen next because that oxygen looks a little tough to fix. And we'll put a coefficient of 3 there, which gives me 3 times 2 is 6. And now changes my oxygen to 2 plus an additional 3, which is 5. All right? Now, here's where a really, really good trick will come in and help you. And I've shown you this trick before, but only one time. But when we have every single thing fixed except for oxygen, and we have an O2 by itself, which we do right there, you can do this trick. And here's the question. Is there any number that I can put right there that will get me 5? And the answer to that is yes, there is one, and it's 2.5. When I put 2.5 there, that gives me a 5. Now here's the problem with putting a half. If we're looking at these coefficients as being molecules or formula units, you cannot have half of a molecule. You either have a whole molecule or you don't have one. But if we're looking at this in terms of moles, you can have 2.5 moles. So the problem is I can put it there, but I can't leave a half there. So then how do you get rid of a half? What can you multiply a half by to get rid of it or make it a whole? And that would be the reciprocal of a half, which is 2. So we need to multiply that 2.5 by 2. Well, anything I do to that 2.5, I have to do to everything else. So I'm going to start and multiply every single coefficient by 2. So starting with the first one, that makes this a 4, that makes this a 5, that makes this a 4, and that makes my 3 a 6. Now, I guarantee it's balanced, but we're going to go back and count just to make sure. 4 times 1, 4 nitrogen. 4 times 3 is 12 hydrogen. 5 times 2 is 10 oxygen. On the product side, 4 times 1 is 4 nitrogen. I have 6 times 2, which is 12 hydrogen. I have 4 times 1, which is 4 oxygen, plus 6 times 1 is 6. 6 and 4 is 10. That's a balanced equation now. Sorry that it's a little messy, but we do have a balanced equation. All right, I want to do one more with you before I run out of time on this video. And this one is a little bit harder and takes a little bit longer to do, and it takes really a little bit more perseverance than anything else. We have tin, we have hydrogen, and we have nitrogen and oxygen. That's it, 4 elements. Looks like it should be more than 4, but it's only 4. All right, on the reactant side, I have 1 tin. I have 1 plus 2 more is 3 hydrogen. I have 1 nitrogen and 4 oxygen. On the product side, I have 1 tin. I have 2 hydrogens. I have 1 nitrogen. And I have 2 plus another one is 3 oxygen. All right, I only have 2 things to fix, and neither one of them are good. Both of them contain an odd number. And it doesn't really matter which one you start with, but we kind of already know by now, how do we handle, what do we do with, how do we deal with an odd number? Well, we deal with an odd number by multiplying it by 2. And so I'm going to start with the hydrogen, even though I could start with the oxygen first. I have 3 hydrogens on the left side. Now notice I have hydrogen in 2 places, both here and there. The first one is the odd one. That's the odd hydrogen. So that's where I have to multiply it by 2. So the 2 has to go here. Now I have 2 plus an additional 2 is 4 hydrogens. It changed my nitrogen to 2, and it changed my oxygen to 6 plus 1, which is 7. Now I really have some ugly numbers, right? Look at that oxygen, 3 to 7. Well, I can fix whatever I want to at this time. I'm going to go with hydrogen first. I have 2 hydrogens on the right, and I need 4, so I have to put a 2 in front. That gives me 2 times 2 is 4, changes 10 to 2, and changes my oxygen to 4 plus 1 more is 5. All right, I still have 2 things to fix, and I'm going to go ahead and fix 10 right now. I have 1 on this side, so I need 2, so I put a 2. That gives me my 2, 10, and it didn't change anything else, did it? So now I have to fix nitrogen. I have 2 on the left, I need 2 on the right, so I'm going to go with a 2 here, which gives me 2 nitrogen, and now gives me 4 plus another 2 is 6 oxygen. So now I'm at the same point. I've been in 3 or 4 times now on this same equation. I've got everything fixed, and I've got an odd number. And so again, what do we do about an odd number? We times it by 2. Well, we have to look at the whole thing. I have oxygen here, and I have oxygen there. The one on the right is the one that's odd. That's my 7th one. So the 2 is going to have to go there. So I'm going to put a 2 right there, which changes my oxygen to 6 plus 2 more is 8. But it also changes my hydrogen to 4 plus another 2 is 6. All right? Usually we leave oxygen alone to the end. You've already kind of figured out by now that the oxygen is usually the problem. We've been talking about that for a while. So I think I'm going to go with hydrogen first. So this 2 right here, we're going to erase that because we no longer need 4 hydrogens. We now need 6. So we're going to put a 3 there to get 3 times 2 is 6. That changes 10 to 3 and changes my oxygen to 6 plus 2 is 8. Now, if we look, the only thing left we had to fix is 10. And it just so happens that we have a 10 sitting right there by itself. So we're going to erase our 2. We're going to drop in a 3. That gives me the 3 10s, and that is now a balanced equation. So now you are ready to take on any equation that I can pretty much give you.